Welcome back to Crime All the Time, where we explore real stories from the world of true crime and always with respect for the victims and their families. If you're new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Today we are diving into the case of Joshua Neal Holden, a man whose disturbing pattern of control and violence came to light in a small Texas town. This is a story of survival. One woman's escape from a nightmare and her journey toward freedom and rebuilding her life. Let's get into it. Before she was a household name in a harrowing true crime story, Lisa Holden was a quiet soul from East Texas with a resilient heart. Lisa was adopted at the age of 6 with 4 of her other siblings. Her and her siblings were abused by their parents. She was raised in a loving, modest home. Her adoptive parents described her as thoughtful, imaginative, and always eager to please. She grew up knowing she was deeply wanted and protected. Lisa embraced her family fully, never letting her adoption define her. Only deepen her appreciation for the life she was given. Lisa and her mother became very close. When Lisa was in high school, she was in cheerleading, the yearbook, the newspaper, and the marching band. She didn't date in high school, she was more into school. After graduating high school, Lisa decided to attend Tyler Junior College. She would call her mom just about every day. She wasn't a risk-taker. She didn't chase drama. Lisa valued the simple things. As she grew older, Lisa held on to a dream shared by many, to build a family of her own filled with love, belonging, and safety. The kind of home she was raised in. She worked locally, stayed close to family, and was known to be soft-spoken, polite, and humble. When she met Joshua Neal Holden, she believed she was stepping into the next chapter of that dream. He seemed confident, attentive, and charming at first. A man who made her feel seen. He was confident, dependable on the surface, and spoke with conviction. He made Lisa feel protected, admired, and even chosen. So her mother and father was eager to meet him. But the first meeting didn't go too well. And Lisa's father didn't like him. But Lisa really liked Joshua, and believed he was very sweet and loving. What Lisa didn't know at the time was that this attention wasn't about love. It was about control. Her parents could never tell Lisa how they felt about him, because every time they saw her he was always around. Lisa was hopeful. But early in the relationship, subtle red flags began to emerge. Lisa had called her mother one day and told her that they had moved in together, and her mother was taken aback, because she didn't know that they were thinking about moving in together. After her communication with Lisa started to become far and few in between. When she did get a chance to talk to Lisa would just say everything was fine and make the conversation really short. At first, the changes were minor. Joshua would speak over Lisa, answer for her in social situations, or discourage her from seeing certain friends. But these weren't seen as threats. Lisa had always been non-confrontational, so she let it go. Over time, the control became more intense. Joshua began isolating Lisa from her adoptive family, the very people who had raised and protected her. He would tell her they didn't care, or that they were bad influences. Her phone was monitored. Her movements were tracked. Even doctors' visits were closely managed or denied altogether. Joshua wasn't just emotionally abusive, he created an environment where Lisa felt completely dependent. He used fear, manipulation, and threats to maintain control. And he believed he had succeeded in making her too scared to ever leave. Lisa's mom hadn't seen her for over a year. But little did she know. By the time Lisa was married to Joshua with 2 children, Lisa was living in a state of near total isolation. Joshua monitored her calls, denied her access to transportation, and made it nearly impossible for her to reach out for help. Lisa wasn't allowed to make simple decisions like what to wear, who to speak to, or even when to leave the house. Then one day Lisa called her mom and told her she was pregnant. Her mom was overjoyed and was hoping now she would be able to see her more. When Lisa gave birth to her daughter, Joshua seemed attentive and comforting to Lisa and the baby, and it put her mother at ease. 5 months went by of not seeing and hearing from Lisa. Her mother found out that Lisa and Joshua had got married. She drove by the house she thought she was staying at. when she realized they had moved from that house. Now not knowing where Lisa and her granddaughter were at, Lisa and Joshua got a home of their own in Ben Wheeler, Texas, which is a very small town in Zandt County. The houses are far and few houses between. They were in totally isolation. They had one vehicle and no landline phone. 5 years later, her mom had not heard from her, and she would talk to her husband about getting an investigator to try and find Lisa. Lisa's mom saw her at the grocery store with 2 more daughters and her oldest granddaughter. She didn't know Lisa had 2 more children and the first baby was now about 5. When they left, Lisa's mother overheard the oldest granddaughter say, "Mommy, who was that?" She could hear Lisa telling her, "That's Grandmom." Her mother was heartbroken that the babies did not know her at all. Lisa's father had lung cancer, and it had metastasized. He passed away at the end of August of 2011. At the funeral, her mother saw Lisa coming through the door in her work clothes. She was working at a nursing home, and she was crying. She hugged her mother and told her she just came from work and she had to go back. She just wanted to stop by. One night her mother was awaked by pounding at the door. When she opened the door, the police officers was standing on the other side. They asked her if she had a daughter named Lisa. The first thing that came to her mind was, what did Joshua do? Joshua Holden grew up in the same general area as Lisa. From the outside, he was the kind of man people might describe as hardworking and private. He kept to himself, didn't share much, and often gave off an intensity that was mistaken for seriousness or discipline. But beneath that exterior was a tendency toward control and a pattern of behavior that escalated when he felt his authority was threatened. Most people in the Ben Wheeler area have acreage. Lisa and Joshua had no neighbors. There was no neighbors to hear anything. The police had never been called to their home. People felt like Joshua moved Lisa out there to be further away from her family. He moved her out there with the intention of isolating her from the world. The severity of it for Lisa and Joshua was a slow progression. Their toxic relationship was nearly 10 years, especially after having her children. On March 20, 2012, Lisa was getting her oldest daughter ready for school. Joshua felt like Lisa was moving too slow at getting the little girl ready. So he took a stiff wire, like a Romex wire, and started beating her with the wire, because she wasn't moving fast enough. He started telling her she was a piece of shit, and why was she like this? As he was hitting her with the wire, he was asking her, why do she make him do this to her? Then after he beat her, he told her to clean up the mess. When he went outside to his truck to take the little girl to school, his truck wouldn't start, and this infuriated him even more. So he took the jumper cables and went back inside. He began to beat her in the head and over her body with the jumper cables. His words to Lisa was that he would bury her. He had plenty of acreage, that he would bury her and nobody would find her. Joshua told her that he was going to take their daughter to school, and when he got back he was going to kill her. Lisa had no doubts in her mind that today he was really going to follow up on his word and actually kill her. This time when he left mad, so he didn't lock her back up in the room and she was able to get out. There were some cameras on the house. Detectives viewed the cameras and could see Lisa leaving the house with the 2 little girls. They could see her moving slowly. She was limping and they could tell her leg was hurt. Lisa had 2 broken legs and a head injury, but she was still able to flee the house. But they were in the middle of nowhere and she had nowhere to go. She didn't have a vehicle, she didn't have neighbors, and she was miles from any city. Her only choice was to go into the woods. So she and the girls hid in the woods, and she tried to keep the girls quiet so Joshua couldn't find her. Lisa would sing songs and tried to make it more of like they were on an outing for the little girls, to try to comfort them and shelter them from the reality of what was going on. Lisa could hear Joshua looking for her, and it would make her just hide and hunker down deeper into the woods. Lisa was afraid to come out. She was afraid if she came out he would see her. Physically she could barely move, and emotionally she was a mess. After the second day of being in the woods, Lisa knew she had to find help. She was able to make their way back up to the street. Lisa was covered in blood when a woman pulled up and asked her what was going on. Lisa told the woman that her husband tried to kill her and the woman told them to get in the car. When Lisa's mom made it to the hospital in Tyler, Texas, police was all over the area. After identifying herself, the police told her that Lisa was in bad shape, that she had run away from Joshua, she had been beaten, and she looks pretty bad. And that she had been out in the woods with her daughters for 2 nights and 3 days. Lisa was very weak. She was skin and bone. There were bandages everywhere. Lisa's mom said she didn't look like herself at all. Lisa had a hole in her knee from a hammer. She had a hole on her left shoulder and a big hole in her right shoulder that was actually rotting. The skin on her head looked like it had been scalped and the flesh was rotting. Her finger was barely holding on and her stab wounds had already healed, but there were still marks there from them. Lisa told her mother that Joshua made her believe that she didn't want anything to do with her. Joshua had filled her head with so much negative things. The hospital was on lockdown. Detectives was advised that there was a woman and 2 small kids picked up on the side of the road. The woman was severely beaten and transported to the Tyler hospital. Detectives responded immediately to the call and by the time they got to the hospital, CPS had already been notified by law enforcement, and they had taken the girls. The hospital was afraid of what Joshua was capable of. They weren't letting anybody into the hospital that wasn't medically necessary or law enforcement. Investigator Christine Holt was surprised Lisa was alive, but also surprised of how well she was able to communicate. Lisa immediately asked investigators if they found her oldest daughter. Investigators had not yet found the little girl. Lisa was very afraid that Joshua still had her. It was also a concern for law enforcement. They had a huge sense of urgency of trying to find where Joshua was and getting her daughter back safely. Zandt County is 859 rural square miles, and Lisa was afraid that Joshua would just disappear, because that's what he had told her for years. That he would kill her and would just disappear with the girls. Investigators seeing Lisa's injuries and knowing what Joshua was capable of, they knew they had to find him immediately. After Investigator Holt left the hospital, she had to meet the Justice of the Peace at his home to get a search warrant signed. And then she had to call in some of their SWAT members to help go into the house. She also had Child Protective Services on standby. But Joshua wasn't in the house. But the house was a crime scene. When they entered the house, they found the torture chamber that Lisa had described to investigator. There was a padlock on the outside of the door. There was a stiff wire laying on the ground with hair and blood in it where he had beaten her. They found blood on the walls, brain matter on the walls, brain matter on the baseball bat. All the weapons that she said was used, they found them. There was a camera system inside to monitor everything that Lisa was doing. At the end of the house, where the master bathroom would have been, he had computers and TV monitors, where he was watching what was going on with Lisa inside the house. If he was mad, he did horrific things, like he shot her in the leg with pellet guns. He had stabbed her in the leg. They were living in a rural area. There was no neighbors to hear anything. She was in a world of abuse and alone with her and her kids. Joshua would also threaten her. He told her if she ever called the law, before they would get through the door, he would slit the girls' throats. And if she ever got away, he would hunt her down and kill her and the girls. She believed every word he said, because of what he had done to her. After investigators did not find Joshua at his home, they went to his brother's house. When his sister-in-law answered the door, she told them that he was in the house. Police located Joshua and the daughter in the bedroom of the house. He did not put up a fight. He had a pretty arrogant attitude, but he did not put up a fight. The oldest daughter was found safe and EMS checked her over and she was fine physically. Child Protective Services took her into custody. Lisa was relieved that Joshua was arrested and that her daughter was safe. She felt like she could finally breathe and relax, until his brother bonded him out. Lisa was then taken from a regular hospital room to a secured room, that you had to have a code word to get into. Part of the conditions of his bond, he was to wear a leg monitor. Joshua did not do that, and investigator Holt received a phone call from the adult probation office that Joshua was apparently driving around the hospital and Tyler looking for Lisa. In fact, other inmates that were in a cell with Josh would tell investigators that Josh was saying, and he was very adamant with the other inmates, that when he got out, he was going to look for Lisa. There are only a few hospitals in Tyler, so it wasn't going to take much to figure out which one she was in. Joshua had every intention of finding her and finishing the job. Police found Joshua circling the hospital that Lisa was in. When they asked him why he was around the hospital area, he told them he was looking for a job. When he was rearrested, they believed he had intended on finishing the job. They raised his bond back up to $750,000. Lisa and her mom went to court every time he had to see the judge. And every time he would look at Lisa and her mom, and he had the biggest grin on his face. He had no remorse whatsoever. Lisa didn't want to go through a trial, because she didn't think she could handle it. So prosecutors came to her with a sentence of 30 years, and she said no. Because her youngest daughter would have not been an adult yet. So they came back with a plea for 40 years. At first Joshua wasn't going to take the deal, until prosecutors told him they had other charges they could bring against him. He pled guilty and took the plea for 40 years. They allowed Lisa to do a victim allocution statement. I will read her words now. My name is Lisa. I was married to Josh Holden. Josh, you don't control me anymore. I am free for the first time in a long time, and you are going to be behind bars. You are a fish in a tank full of sharks, and I don't have to be afraid of you anymore. Lisa was happy that Josh is sitting in prison, and it makes her feel good that now he's the prisoner and she is not. He can't hurt her and he can't touch her kids. After the trial, the three girls were sent to a foster home together, because Lisa didn't feel strong enough mentally to take care of her daughters. And even though she wanted so much to be their mom, she felt like she couldn't give them the life they deserved. And ultimately Lisa allowed the family that were fostering the children to adopt them. Lisa and her mom still gets to see them and be a part of their lives. Lisa is now an advocate for domestic violence, and she raises awareness for victims. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, there are resources available. You are not alone. National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Understanding the red flags, like isolation, control, fear, and manipulation, can help identify these situations before they escalate. Lisa's bravery teaches us that even in the darkest circumstances, there is a path to safety. Thank you for watching today's video. If this story moved you, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Your support helps raise awareness and could help someone find the courage to ask for help. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more true crime stories told with care and compassion. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and look out for one another.